What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today I'm just here to talk about how excited I am about the New York Giants. If you saw the title, you saw it says the Giants have aura again, and I am excited. Aura right here in this really cool graphic made by our graphic designer, Danny. Shout out to you, my good friend. We're just here to talk Giants, so drop your thoughts and comments and questions down below. This is really just going to be a conversation live stream. Going to lean on the chat and just see whatever questions you guys have and go ahead and just talk about the Giants and discuss why I am so excited. Now, apologies, I'm a little bit late here. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought I scheduled the stream for 1:30. I realized at about 1:15 that I scheduled it for 1:15, so that's why we're starting a little bit late from the show start time. But here I am, ready to go ahead and talk some Giants and say what's up to everybody in the chat. What's up, Sean? Good to see you in here once again. Scatterboo! Colton, yo, how are we doing? We're doing fantastic, man. It's a good Saturday. I'm getting everything with my day done, nice, bright, and early. I'm going to be done here live streaming and then go straight to the golf course. I'm going to go play 18 holes today. Luis says, what's up? DB from EP Live, saw Dart in game day uniform. Aura is for sure. Yeah, I got to pull that up. I'm going to pull up Jackson Dart's uniform, because this guy is like Mr. Aura, to be completely honest with you. He is aura farming, some say. I say. You guys ready to see this? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Look at that, man. Look at the aura. Look at the aura. Look at this. You see this? Insane resemblance. How do I mute? Mute this. Get out of here. I can't even. How do I make it disappear? Report. No, I don't want to get that guy banned. Look at the money shot right there of our boy Jackson Dart. I'm so excited to watch this man play, and it's not just him, it's Cam Scatterboo too. Let me see if I can find Scatterboo. Yeah, here's the picture of the two of them. The Giants have some swagger again. Isn't that important? I feel like that's pretty important. I'm very excited about this. We got Kansan in here, another member of the channel saying sup. What's up, Kansan? Christian saying, let's go. Let's go. Hey, we've got a first-time live viewer, Ramin. Thank you so much for joining in on the live stream. Appreciate you being here and hope to see you at more of these live streams. Big Moo saying, hey, Anthony, keep up the great work. Thank you, sir. I absolutely will. I also love the scar, the Star Wars face paint on Jackson Dart. Shout out to Anakin Skywalker, my favorite character in fiction. And yeah, I think he should keep 6 as well. It was either 6 or 12. I thought 12 would have been a cool number for him since he wore 2 in college, but I like 6. Single digit numbers are cool. And you know what? I think he can make his own history with 6. I'm excited for that. Alex, thank you, saying, love the channel and all your content. Here's my question. Do you think we are going to upgrade the punting and field goal kicking? It's the issue we did not address in the offseason. So I think that both of these are going to be addressed later in the summer by competition. And what I mean by that is I think that the Giants will bring in a kicker and will bring in a punter to compete with the Scottish Hammer and with Graham Gano and let the best man win, right? Like it's just going to be they're going to kick and they're going to punt during training camp in the preseason, and whoever does the best, I think they're going to go ahead and hold on to, and the others are going to get the boot because, and I'll go ahead and pull up over the cap here and show you guys this. The Giants punter and kicker are very much, or at least the kicker is very much on the roster bubble. So if you go with the post June 1st cut, because I would assume it would happen after training camp, Graham Gano, where is he? Well, here's Jamie Gillum. You can't cut him because the Giants did just extend him. So he's going to be the kicker. I don't think they're going to look to upgrade there. But Graham Gano, there he is. $4.4 million the Giants could save in salary cap if they do release Graham Gano this offseason later in the summer. So I think considering the injuries that he's had, the inconsistent play that he's put on the field when he's been on the field, just generally speaking, Graham Gano, maybe he's lost a step. And if he continues to look that way, continues to regress during the training camp and preseason period, I could absolutely see the New York Giants bringing in competition. A guy plays better than him during the preseason. Okay, they're going to roll with this new kicker and they're going to release Graham Gano and save that $4.4 million because that's no small sum. That's a pretty large chunk of change for the Giants to put right back in their pocket. So I could totally see them making a kicker change later in the offseason. Colton saying what this whole video is about. This team is going to show some swag and confidence. We're going to shock some people. I hope you're right. I think you're right. I think the Giants are going to be a much better football team than people are giving them credit for. I think they're being totally disrespected. Ranking 32nd in ESPN's power rankings is bizarre to me. I think that they're a much better football team than being given credit for. And so I do think their swag, their aura, their confidence is going to lead them to more wins than what's currently expected of them. The big moo. I think Dart should wear 12. Eli was 10. Sims was 11. So next in line should be Dart at 12. I do kind of like that. And I thought he was going to wear 12. And I think 12 is just such a good quarterback number. But hey, 6 is a pretty cool number as well. Single digit. So we will see. Mr. Absurd, I do really like this fantasy football name. Last season, the season prior in my Dynasty League, I had CD Lamb, so my team name was CD's Nuts. And then the following year, I drafted Malik Nabers into this Dynasty League, and I was like, you know what? CD might be my team's MVP, but we're going to go with Like a Good Neighbors, State Farm reference. This year, I can't say I don't want to be too public about who I'm drafting, but I don't think anybody in my league is watching this live stream. So I'm going to try and target Jackson Dart, and I might steal this one from you, Mr. Absurd. I like Darth Vader. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, Christian. Thanks for the shout out on the uniform. I'm going to go ahead and find the uniform post that I made and share that with you all. Where is it? Give me 1 second, everybody. If you guys didn't see, actually, I'll show another post in the meantime. This is a fun one, and I want everybody to interact with this one and drop your all-time New York Giants lineups down below in the chat. I spent like a solid hour putting this graphic together. Let me know your guys' thoughts. You have $15 to spend. What's your lineup looking like? I think when I did it, I went with Eli, Barkley, which I know is controversial. Went with Nix and Neighbors, and I went with Engram because I don't think that the tight end is nearly as important as those other positions. And if you compare Malik Nabers with Hakeem Nicks, I mean, those are two big body outside receivers. You got Barkley underneath and running the ball, and you've got the best quarterback in Giants history, Eli Manning. Evan Engram could fit in. He'll do well enough. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear everybody else's lineups down below. So make sure you drop those in the live chat. But a fun graphic. If you like this, go ahead, follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. It's posted on Twitter. It's posted on Instagram, and we'll get it posted on the YouTube community page as well. But definitely go engage with that one. I put a lot of time and effort into that graphic. Well, what was the graphic I was looking for? It was the uniform. That's what it was. Yeah. Let me pull that up. I want to get everybody's take on this as well. Do you think that the Giants should consider bringing in new uniforms this offseason? Because I really like this design. I think it was the Kyle CYR, the Kyle Sir, maybe that's how you pronounce it. He's the one who made this graphic. And I just got to say, I think this is a beautiful looking uniform. Not a beautiful looking man underneath the uniform because we don't love Saquon Barkley around here anymore. But I will say I really want the Giants to bring back that throwback uniform with an updated helmet. Similar to what the Jets did last year. They brought back their 80s uniforms, but they updated the helmet to be more modern. That's exactly what I'm seeing here. I don't know if I like the white stripe down the middle. Just keep the normal red stripe, keep that normal Giants helmet, but just put that big white Giants logo and a white face mask. Makes the whole thing pop so much better. I love the Color Rush helmet. If you remember when the Giants initially implemented the Color Rush helmet or uniform years ago, the all white, but with that updated throwback logo on the current helmet and the white face mask. That's my favorite helmet in Giants history. I would love to see the Giants use that helmet with these jerseys, the throwbacks that they've been wearing the last couple of years. Absolute peak cinema. So let me know if you guys like those as well. Comment your thoughts down below. This one is from someone else here on Twitter. So I think those are cool. Let me know if you guys have a thought on these unis and if you guys think that the Giants should change their uniforms. Trenton took the words out of my mouth, thinks that they should go back to their old uniforms as he's watching on lunch. Tie ball game, 0-0. Nobody scored a run yet between the Mets and the Yanks. I think 7 wins would be enough to save them their jobs because I think that everybody in the organization is cognizant of the fact that this is a really tough schedule and this isn't the best football team just yet, and they are kind of stopgapping to the quarterback next year. So I'm going to go with 7 wins. On the aggressive side, 8 wins is comfortable. I think they save their jobs. 7 wins, 6 is probably pushing it. But 7 wins, I think they'll save their jobs by the skin of their teeth, probably. Colton, I don't see the Giants making any trades between now and the start of the season because of what I mentioned earlier, which is cap space. The Giants just don't have enough of it, right? Like if you're looking at this, they have 1.1 million in total cap space, but if you go over to cap space on the league and you look at effective cap space, they're negative 9.3 million in cap space. They're 9 million over the cap in effective once they sign their 51 players in projected rookie class. So they just don't have any money, and instead of making trades, instead they're going to have to make cuts and restructures. Now, they can make a lot of money. They can make up to $40 million by restructuring these top contracts that they have, but ultimately I don't think they're going to want to restructure Andrew Thomas considering his injury history. Dexter Lawrence, they've already restructured that deal before. Would they want to do that again? I'm not sure. Burns, they haven't touched yet. They'll probably restructure him, but I think they're going to err on the side of caution and not be aggressive. They know they're not winning a Super Bowl this year, most likely, so I think they're going to be a little bit careful in terms of acquiring any more talent. Yeah, I really hope that Banks gets his swag back. He's wearing number 2 this year, new number for him, new number every year for him, it feels like, and it is. But hopefully he plays a little bit more confidence this season. Let's see. Which rookie am I most excited to see play this season? Abdul Carter. I know everybody's really excited for Scadaboo, and so Scadaboo! Everybody's really excited for him, and so am I. But Abdul Carter, number 3 pick, I think he's got that immediate potential to be an all-pro player, and I can't wait to see that guy just dominate as a pass rusher. I was watching a little bit more of his film this morning, just having some fun, and I was blown away once again. Every time I watch him, I get blown away all over again watching Abdul Carter play. Do you think we will have a more balanced offense with who we have on offense? I think we'll have a more balanced passing attack in the sense that they're going to take more deep shots, but also maintain the quick passing game. So more balanced in that way, whereas it was imbalanced. It was a lot of short passes and not enough deep shots for the last couple of years. I think they'll have a more balanced passing attack. And yeah, I think the offense will be balanced because Brian Dable does like to run the football, and now they have the ability to throw the ball more. So they'll probably even it out with more passing to match the running. Let's see. Eddie just saying FSG. Shout out to FSG. Eli, Barkley, and LT don't need anybody else. Yeah, that would be good. I am going to do a defensive version of this, or the same graphic that I just pulled up, and I'll go ahead and show it again. I'm going to do the same graphic, but on the defensive side of the ball sometime in the next week or so. LT is going to be in there. He's going to be $5. We're going to do a couple pass rushers, defensive back, safety, that kind of thing, and see if we can cook up something special. This is fire. These are the home unis and color rushers, white ones away. Got hella aura. That's what I'm saying, man. The Giants are adding so much aura. They're collecting aura. They're aura farming. You might as well change the uniforms, add even more swagger to this team, and just hit the ground running in 2025. Old school look. Love these uniforms. Everybody loves it. Yeah, I don't like the white stripe either, but yeah, the color rush helmet. It's the best, man. It's the absolute best. Yo, AJT, what's up? Let's see. Boom. Oh, we got a super chat in here. Thank you so much, Sebastian, saying the biggest worry I have this year is our offensive line. The biggest worry that I have this year personally is Shane Bowen because the Giants defense on paper looks like it should be one of the best in the NFL, if not the best, because of that pass rush looking so good on paper. And I'm worried that maybe Shane Bowen isn't going to maximize all of the assets that the Giants have poured into that defensive lineup. And that would be really frustrating for me because I think, this defense is really good. And the only thing stopping this team from being a playoff team, in my opinion, other than the schedule is obviously standing in the way because it's really difficult. But if the Giants offense can be at least average, which I think they will be with Russell Wilson, while also having a top 10 defense, they should be competitive potentially for the playoffs. But that's going to come down to, is this defense actually top 10 like they're supposed to be? Because it should be a top 10 defense, but will they be, I think, is largely up to defensive coordinator Shane Bowen. But also the offensive line is a worry for me as well. I have major question marks about John Michael Schmitz. I have major question marks about the health of Andrew Thomas because he hasn't stayed healthy the past few years. And I've got major question marks about the right guard position, because I think Greg Van Roten is decent, but really, realistically, I would prefer Greg Van Roten to be a backup right guard for the Giants rather than the projected week 1 starter. I don't really want to see him start all 17 games for the Giants this year. I hope Marcus Bowe steps in and steals that starting job, but that is ultimately probably unlikely. So we will most likely see Greg Van Roten for the majority of the season, but we shall see. It should be something interesting to monitor. This is a great comment. TD Midas, we got all the ingredients on defense, but Bowen's going to make grilled cheese. Yeah, that's how it's starting to feel, or maybe boxed mac and cheese, as Trenton says. He's got the ingredients to put up some Master Chef Gordon Ramsay-like recipes, but we'll see. Trenton's the best. Our resident Eagles fan who always tunes in the Fireside Giants, just always jumping in here, reminding us about the fact that the Eagles are unfortunately the best team in the division. But still, Giants are the best fan base in the division, that's for sure, evidenced by the crowd that we have here in the Fireside Giants live stream. Matthew, thank you. Because, yeah, things are definitely dry right now. But you know what? We're always finding something to talk about. And listen, it's the Giants. I love the Giants, and I love talking Giants. So no matter what, I'm going to find a reason to jump on here and talk some New York Giants with you. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe Sunday. I'll take the day off, but back at it on Monday. But today, it's Saturday. Figured we'd have some fun and just talk about how excited we are about the New York Giants, right? I mean, look at this team and the aura that they have. Let me pull that picture back up of these guys. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what we love to see. I'm going to save that. I might even make that my phone wallpaper. Why not? Let me get that going. Oh, yeah. Don't think the schedule will be a problem because good teams win tough games. Yeah, I mean, listen, if the Giants are a good team, they're going to hang in there with a lot of these tough opponents that they have. We'll go ahead and pull up the schedule once again and talk about it because, you know, much has been made of this schedule for the Giants. Everybody's saying that there's only one game. And you know what? I'll ask this question because on last night's edition of Giants Collective, the entertainer, who I'm sure many of you do know of, he kind of asked this question. I thought it was interesting. How many games on the schedule do you think the Giants right now would be favored in? Maybe the Saints, but it's on the road, so maybe not the Saints. They're not going to be favored week 1, not week 2, not week 3, not week 4. Again, maybe week 5, definitely not week 6. Week 7 versus Denver, probably not, especially on the road. Not week 8. Week 9 versus the 49ers, it's going to depend on how the Niners are playing mid-season, but again, probably not. Probably not the Bears on the road. Not against the Packers, the Lions, maybe against the Patriots. We shouldn't lose the bye week, although I'm sure we'll find a way. Not favored against the Commanders, the Vikings, probably against the Raiders, maybe against the Raiders, and probably not against the Cowboys again in week 18. So listen, there are not a lot of obvious wins on the schedule, but there weren't a lot of obvious wins on the schedule either in 2022. And the Giants still found a way to win a lot of those games with some great coaching from Coach of the Year, Brian Daboll, and they made it to the playoffs. So ultimately, what I think is, even though the Giants are not favored right now in a lot of these games, if they start making a run, let's say they start the season miraculously 2-0, they're going to start being favored in those games against the Saints, the Broncos, the Bears, right? Like they can come out of the gates hot and they can totally change the narrative. But you know, it's a week-to-week league. Like we say, it's a year-to-year league, but it really is a week-to-week league. And ultimately, we're going to have to see how the Giants start the season, and that's going to set the tone for the rest of the year. Messiah, what's up? Thank you for joining in. Hey, live chat. I'm tuning in late. You're not too late. 20 minutes. 1/3 of the live stream down here as we hit the 20-minute mark. You guys know I always go for the classic hour, sometimes a little over if you're keeping me entertained in the live chat, which you guys always are. I think if Neal can start at right guard, his upside on the inside should not be overlooked. Yes, he was a bad tackle, but he has great upside for guard. He played guard at Bama to note as well. So you are right. As a freshman, Evan Neal did play left guard for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and he played it quite well. Then he eventually moved to right tackle and then over to left tackle. The problem is that he's played guard, but he hasn't played right guard. And the Giants don't need a left guard. They need a right guard. So essentially, what's going on here? Well, Evan Neal is once again learning a new position. And that does give me cause for concern, essentially. So we'll have to see how that goes. But, I think that if you're right about this, if John Michael Schmitz takes a step forward, if Evan Neal establishes himself as a starter, then the Giants have a very good and very cheap offensive line. That's for sure. And so that could be something to look forward to. Trenton thinks the Bears are going to suck and that the Giants will be favored over the Saints and the Bears. I don't think the Bears are going to suck. I believe in Caleb Williams. I think he's going to take that step forward, but we'll see. Could you imagine Evan Neal playing center, a 6'8" center? Who is the tallest center in NFL history? Can somebody find that for me? Tallest center. I'll find it. NFL history. Jared Velda here. Guess how tall he was? 6'8". So essentially, Evan Neal would match the record for being the tallest center in NFL history. But you know what? I doubt that that would happen. I don't think that he would make that move all the way into center. But you know who could is Marcus Bowe. Marcus Bowe stands in at 6'5". So Marcus Bowe is a player. He did mention in one of his post-draft live streams that he could potentially play right tackle. He could potentially play right guard. But he thinks he's going to do some practicing at center as well, just in case he's going to move all the way over there. So I think Marcus Bowe would be the more realistic transition player into center, definitely than Evan Neal. I know that you were kind of being funny about Evan Neal at center, but I do just want to highlight the fact that we can keep an eye, of course, on Marcus Bowe as a 6'5" undersized right tackle who's had some talk about playing guard and potentially even moving all the way to center if something goes wrong with John Michael Schmitz and they need an upgrade at center. Maybe Marcus Bowe could be that upgrade. We'll see. Yeah, could you imagine Evan Neal snapping the ball? I bet you the first snap of the season is going 5 feet over Russell Wilson's head through the back of the end zone, just like the Super Bowl where the Broncos threw it out of the back of the end zone against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. That would be the first snap of the season for Evan Neal. I could almost guarantee it would just be a colossal F up, and all Giants fans would say, all right, here we go. This is what we expected. Another season just like this one. Shout out to Evan Neal. That's how everybody would feel. Landon Dickerson is huge. He started out at guard, right, and then moved to center when Juergens was out. That's interesting. Yeah, I was going to say Bowe when I searched him just now. It said 6'5", but I was like, I feel like he's 6'4", so I think you're right. I think he actually is 6'4". No other update than the one that you just mentioned, Colton. Gabe Davis had a visit with the Giants. It was a Wednesday, Thursday visit, so a 2-day visit, which usually if a player comes back for a second day, it indicates there is a pretty intense level of interest, and it indicates that there is a reason to believe that the signing will happen. So don't really know anything other than that, but since it was a 2-day visit, I think there's a good chance that the Giants do end up bringing in Gabe Davis, and then the question mark is, how does that affect the other receivers in the depth chart, including, of course, Jalen Hyatt, who's in store for a very critical third season of his career. What's he going to be able to achieve? What's the percentage chance Neal gets cut if he looks horrible at guard in camp? That's a really good question, actually. And I'm going to pull up once again over the cap to try and get a good answer to this question, because I think that's going to come down to finances. Yeah, so essentially, if the Giants were to cut Evan Neal after he looked terrible at camp, they would have $0 in cap relief. So there's just no reason to. If they're not going to save anything on the salary cap, then you might as well just hold on to him and hope that he turns it around during the season. So very, very low percentage chance he gets cut. I would say probably very close to 0. I would give it a 10% chance. Now, let's see if they could trade him. They could trade him for salary cap relief, but I don't know if any team is going to want to inherit that cap number, whatever it would be after trading. But if the Giants wanted to send him away for a conditional 6th or 7th round pick, I guess that could be an option. They could end up saving $4 million in cap space that way. But again, I feel like it's unlikely that a team would actually want to trade for Evan Neal. So I would probably say it's a 90% chance Evan Neal is on the Giants roster throughout the entirety of the season. And then he's going to be a free agent next offseason. So we'll see ultimately what happens then. Let's see. Unfortunately, the east of Burden and Colton, I see both of you mentioning some of these UDFAs. I haven't really gotten through the Giants UDFAs and watched enough of them to really give you a top tier analysis. So I've only watched Bo, that Notre Dame guy, Antoine Wells Jr. from Ole Miss, and a little bit of that Ole Miss center that I don't even think they ended up signing. They just had him in for a mini camp workout. So unfortunately, that's the one area of this team this offseason that I don't have the tip-top shape coverage for you guys. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to skip over the UDFA questions for now, but I will circle back to them as we get closer, of course, to training camp and talk about them then. C. Phillips saying, glad to have you back. I want to hear about your Chris Olave thoughts. I think he'd bring this team alive instantly this season. C. Phillips, thank you so much. I'm glad to be back. It took a very minor break while I was over in London. Really did a lot of work while I was on my vacation, and not at all complaining about that because I love what I do. But Chris Olave is somebody who's caught some buzz with Giants fans. Obviously, the line of thinking here is pretty obvious with the New Orleans Saints just being an absolutely terrible football team. Could they end up blowing it up? Could they trade some of their players away? So Chris Olave, let me go ahead and pull up his salary cap information. All right, so if we are looking at Chris Olave's contract, it's actually very easy to inherit. He has a $6.1 million cap hit, which is not a lot. It's only worth 2.2% of the salary cap. Of course, you have to keep in mind he's got a fifth-year option that was picked up for the 2026 season, and that balloons up to $15.5 million, and he's probably going to want a contract. So there's a few reasons why I'm not crazy about the idea of trading for Chris Olave. I think you're right. He would give this Giants offense an ability to compete in a major way as soon as this season. I think Russell Wilson could absolutely find a way to maximize Olave and Nabers and really supercharge this offense. And I think Olave, if he wasn't on the Saints, would probably be viewed as a top 15 receiver in the NFL. He's got that potential and talent. But there's a couple of factors why he isn't viewed that way. Number one, injuries. He's probably in that same conversation with Tua Tagovailoa where one more concussion and the conversation about retirement begins. Is that a player that the New York Giants want to inherit? Is that a player that they want to trade premium capital for? Very unlikely. So I don't think Olave makes sense for that reason. The other reason being they are over the cap. As we mentioned, the Giants have $1.1 million in cap space, they have negative $9 million in effective cap space. So ultimately, they're going to have to restructure a lot of money if they want to inherit Chris Olave. And again, I know I said his contract is easy to inherit for a team with cap space. The Giants don't have any, so that $6 million could be challenging to get under the salary cap. And then the other reason being, what was I going to say actually? The injuries, the contract, and there was a third reason that I had in mind, and now I can't think of it. So I'll circle back to that if I do think of it. But essentially, I just don't think it's going to make a ton of sense for the Giants, unfortunately. They don't have the money. I know what the third reason was. It was draft capital. The Giants already traded away a third-round pick for Jackson Dart, their next year's third-round pick, of course. And I don't think they're going to want to throw away another top 100 pick because I have to imagine Chris Olave would cost a top 100 pick. He is a really good receiver, and he's on a cheap rookie contract. So I would imagine that in order to trade for him, it would cost a second or a third, and the Giants don't have a third, and by no means can they give up a second for Chris Olave. So I don't think a fourth gets the deal done, and ultimately, I don't think the Giants have enough to get a trade done for Chris Olave in terms of draft capital. So unfortunately, I don't think it's a possibility. I know it's something Giants fans are excited about, and rightfully so. The idea of acquiring Olave is pretty thrilling, but I just don't think it's realistic or possible for the Giants at this juncture. This is a great question from QB1 Productions, and I've thought about this quite a bit. If Russell Wilson gets injured this year, do you think Dart will play instead of Winston? I don't think that. I think that the Giants signed Jameis Winston to be the backup, to play in case of injury. And I think that's his job. And I think that he's going to want the opportunity to fulfill that job, and he's going to get it. So let's say Russell Wilson, I don't know, if he had a season-ending injury at week 6, you're going to see Jameis Winston go in the lineup, in my opinion, for the time being. Now, obviously, Jameis Winston, he can win you some games in a spot. He could throw for 300 yards on any given Sunday. He'll pull off some upset wins, but he'll also throw the ball into coverage. He'll turn the ball over, and he'll lose you certain games as well. And so after a few weeks of that, the Giants will get tired of it, and they will go ahead and put Jackson Dart in the lineup. So I think that Winston would play over Dart, but after a few weeks, Dart would then end up taking over, in my opinion. Malik Nabers wins this matchup all the time. Malik Nabers is going to win every matchup in every training camp versus every cornerback, because if you are not playing with pads on, Malik Nabers is going to cook you. That guy is so quick off the line of scrimmage, so crispy in his route running. He is the guy that's just going to cook everybody in terms of running around in practice shorts. David, I'll say the odds of Jackson Dart starting in week 1. You're saying you have a feeling he may win the job if Russ looks so-so and Jackson plays great in training camp and preseason. I think even if that happens, he still won't start week 1, and the reason being Josh Allen. Josh Allen looked way better than any quarterback on the Bills roster back in 2018. Still, Nathan Peterman got the start in week 1. Nathan Peterman played terribly, and Josh Allen got put into the lineup in week 2. But ultimately, I think week 1 is going to be Russ's job. Week 2 onward, I guess, is open to interpretation if Jackson Dart looks that good. But keep in mind, Josh Allen didn't look good as a rookie. He didn't really look great until the 3rd season of his career. He started to show progress in year 2 and became a great player by year 3. But I think knowing that, all that information, if you look at the Giants quarterback developers that they have right now, Brian Dable from the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, who again started in week 2, but struggled for the first 2 seasons of his career. And then Mike Kafka and Shea Tierney coming from the Kansas City Chiefs. They were there for the development of Patrick Mahomes, who sat for all but 1 game in his rookie season. So essentially my point being, the Giants, they do not want to rush Dart into the lineup. They would definitely prefer to let this guy sit as long as they can and eventually insert him in. That's what all of those guys would prefer to do. Tierney, Kafka, and Dable, and Shane. Rashad saying, I am an up-and-coming YouTuber. Alex's hustles is one of the inspirations I'm trying to emulate. Rashad, that's awesome. I'm wishing you the utmost success and thanking you for your support of this channel. Feel free to drop your channel link down below in the comment section. You know, you're a supporter of the channel. I see you got the membership badge, so I don't have any problem with you doing a little self-promoting this time around, and appreciate you for looking up to us. And yeah, man, Alex inspires me every day. So what's up, Christopher Tony, the EA Joker. I think, yes, Sinister, in terms of the Chris Olave conversation, the same probably does go for any WR2. Listen, the Giants did sign Slayton to a $12 million per season contract. That really is more of a WR3 contract, in my opinion. But ultimately, I just don't think that the Giants have the money or the draft capital to make any trades for any premium player on the offensive side of the ball right now. Let's see. Yeah, Nathan Peterman. Do you think the Giants lean on the run game and mix in some play action deep shots? How do you think our offense will look? I think it's going to be very play action heavy this year, especially when most likely, inevitably, Dart gets into the lineup. Jackson Dart is coming from an offense, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, that ran a lot of RPOs and a lot of play action. So ultimately, you're going to see, once he's in the lineup, a lot of play action passing. But also for Russell Wilson, a guy who loves to dial up deep shots, a lot of the deep shots that you'll see him throw are off of the play action. So yeah, they are going to run. They also have talented running backs, and they're probably going to see some stacked boxes as a result of the Tracy and Scatterbo duo. So the Giants are going to want to take advantage of that play action, hit the defense, or get over the defense over top. So I think it's going to be a heavy play action dosage. Anthony, would you ever do a live where the viewers call in and talk about their thoughts and questions? Yes, Colton. Stay tuned. Another one of the many things we have planned on the channel that we're going to get to in the offseason. As somebody mentioned in an earlier chat, things are really starting to slow down now. And yes, we're going to keep pumping the daily or near daily content, but it is starting to get a little slow and a little tough to do. So we are going to find more creative ways to create content on this channel, as well as bringing on viewers and members first and foremost for live chats on the channel. So looking forward to doing all that, and it will be happening soon. So, keep an eye on it. Nope. Rashad, my fault. I meant you, Anthony, the consistency, Bleach Report, etc. Well, listen, even if you meant that I'm an inspiration, Alex should be as well. I'll be humble here. Yes, I do grind a lot, Bleach Report, everything. And again, I really do appreciate you, Rashad. But Alex founded Empire Sports Media. He's the owner of all that stuff. And I work for ESM. So, like, I mean, that man works really, really hard. He's an inspiration to me. So, but we're just glad to be doing this and having the platform to talk Giants with you all anyway. It's just, we do it for fun, first and foremost, just because we love talking Giants. TD Midas, I agree with you because I think that if Russ is rolling, the deep shot is connecting, and Malik Nabers is probably running free deep downfield and putting up 1,300 yards. This is the thing I find so crazy. Malik Nabers had only 7 receptions of 20-plus yards downfield last season. Think about that. He had almost 120 receptions and 1,200 yards, right? I think those are about the numbers that he had. And he barely ever caught the ball downfield. So all of that yardage he produced from 0 to 20 yards within the line of scrimmage, basically on his own in spite of bad quarterback play. Now imagine the fact that he's going to get deep shots. If he got 1,200 yards last season without any deep balls, what the hell is he going to put up this season with a deep ball? 1,400? 15? I don't know, man. I think Nabers... it was a great question. Prediction for Nabers' stat line. I'm going to take a look at what he had last year, but it's really hard not to predict extremely lofty numbers for this kid. So yeah, he had 109 receptions for 1,200 yards, 1,204 yards, and 7 touchdowns last season. He only played in 15 games as well, so he missed 2 games there. He had 80 yards per game, so you add those on, he would have had 1,360 yards, right? I'm so bad at math, guys. 1,360 yards if he played those 2 games and kept his averages going. I mean, listen, Cam Simpson asking it, Nabers to take a triple crown. It's possible. It's totally possible. He had 170 targets last year, which I think probably goes down a little bit because the Giants are going to be able to spread the ball out a little bit. But I think he's going to have he had 11 yards per reception last year. That's pretty low. I think that's going to be closer to 14 yards per reception this year. So even if the total targets goes down, I think the receptions probably stays about the same. I think the yards per reception goes up, the touchdowns goes up, and ultimately the yards per game and yards in general. I honestly think if we're realistically predicting his stats, I think he gets 115 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I don't think that's crazy to say. And it's year 2. I don't know. That could be even conservative. Maybe he does go for the triple crown. Maybe he does put up 1,700 yards. Like I said, 7 receptions, 20-plus yards downfield. He put up 1,200 yards, and I think 200 of those yards were downfield throws. So 1,000 of those yards he produced by himself, basically. Triple crown is definitely a possibility because, yes, Russ can hit him. Also, this is a very underrated point. Duran, yeah, I mean, the fact that the Giants finally have a return specialist that we give a damn about is pretty exciting. Training camp starts in July. It's usually mid to late July, usually more late July, like 20th, somewhere around there. So expect to see me at training camp. I'll probably go at least to 1 or 2 of the practices. I'll try my best to at least. Shout out to Rashad, guys. Go check out his YouTube channel. This sounds like a really, really cool concept for it, and organizing trips and helping people move to Africa. That's really cool stuff. So make sure you go check out his channel. Yeah, this always just frustrates me, Cartman. Hate how people think BTJ is better than Nabers because of stats. Malik Nabers, what people need to understand is the best receiver, arguably, in LSU history. Yes, LSU, the place that breeded Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Malik Nabers, everybody else. Nabers has the most career receiving yards out of any receiver in LSU history. So Brian Thomas Jr., of course, also came from LSU. He's a freakish athlete, but Nabers is just as freaky, and Nabers is more talented as a route runner. Nabers is arguably the best receiver in LSU college history. He is the better player, and he's going to prove that this year when he takes the Triple Crown, baby. Sinister Soup, this is going to be a fun one to watch during training camp. Corp, thank you so much for the super chat. Saying, Anthony, I'm glad that these so-called experts have us dead last. It'll make it that much sweeter when we show the world that NYG is way better than the past and we are now in the future. You're absolutely damn right about that. The best New York Giants seasons, were we the favorites? We were the underdogs. 2011, 2007, those underdog runs, Cinderella story runs that the Giants went on, those are the best seasons that we've ever watched as Giants fans, right? Even 2016, underdogs went to the playoffs. 2022, underdogs somehow made it to the playoffs. And those victories, when you're an underdog, those upset wins, those sneak into the playoff wins, they taste so much sweeter than a win on a Sunday where you're favored by 10 points. That's for sure. Not that we're really all that experienced over the last 10, 15 years with being favored 10 plus points, but even still, I agree with you. I love being the underdog, and I think that the Giants have a lot of players on their roster right now who also enjoy being the underdog. Like Cam Scatterbo, if you've ever heard him talk about being the underdog, he wears a massive bag of chips on his shoulder. He loves punching people in the face, and he loves playing the game of football with that grit and that energy. And I think that is going to carry through not only with Scatterbo, but I think there's other guys who the Giants drafted that have that underdog mentality and are ready to punch some people in the mouth and go ahead and be the Cinderella story of the season. So I'm with you. I like being the underdog. I think it's fun. Jonathan, so we did have the Olave discussion already. In short, I don't think that's a possibility for the Giants due to his injury history, the Giants' salary cap restraints, and the Giants' lack of premium draft capital that they can trade. So no Olave, but yes, I do think they are going to sign Gabe Davis. They had Gabe Davis in for a visit last Wednesday, and it went into Thursday. So usually when you see 2-day visits on a free agent like that, there's a pretty good chance that they do get it done. So I think they're going to bring in some wide receiver help. I think that it very well could be Gabe Davis, but I do not think that it's ultimately going to be Chris Olave. TD Midas, so was I. I mean, listen, I had my pre-draft rankings on the wide receivers, and I had Nabers ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. I remember we posted that on Fireside Giants, and everybody was like, Anthony just wants to be different. Anthony's just trying to be different. Wow, hot take, Anthony. No, it was the right take. Malik Nabers was a better player than Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out of college. I stood on that take, I died on that hill, and I'm happy to have. And I think he proved that already as a rookie, and he's going to continue to prove that throughout the entirety of their careers. Malik Nabers is the better football player compared to Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody wanted to flame me for that take. I said, listen, I don't care about the high floor of Marvin Harrison Jr. What's a high floor going to do me at the wide receiver position? Do you see the ceiling that Malik Nabers has? Give me Malik Nabers. He's a better prospect. I said that coming out of the draft. Duran, that 2008 team was favored in almost every game. They were the favorites to win the Super Bowl. It's such a shame that they fell apart the way that they did. Plaxico Burress, man. Why couldn't you have just left it at home? My goodness. I really think the Giants would have went back-to-back had that not happened. Do you think we draft a wide receiver first round next year to help Dart? I definitely think it's a possibility. I think everything's on the table for the Giants next year because what they've done well is position their roster to kind of stack talent. Like they don't have any glaring obvious holes right now. They've got Illuminor. They'll have to extend him if they want him back next year, though. He's in the final year of his deal. Wandale is in the final year of his deal as well, so they're going to have to look at receivers for sure. But generally speaking, I think that they could just continue to stack talent. And if the top player on the board is a wide receiver, let's say that they're picking around 15, hopefully, not in the top 10. If they're picking around 15, yeah, I think a really good receiver will be on the board for them. It could be an instant impact player that helps spark that development for Jackson Dart. But yeah, it's going to depend on where Brian Daboll is. If he's on if he's still the head coach, the mantra is going to be one thing. If he's fired, it's going to be a complete wild card. I have no idea what the Giants are going to do. If they do end up cleaning house, that new regime could come in and trade away Jackson Dart. Who knows? And that's like, I'll say this. I'll get to this question in a second, but I want to say this. For the Giants and their future, I know that I was pretty negative last season. I mean, I wasn't negative. I was reacting with anger to the poor product that was on the football field, right? Everybody was negative because the Giants were terrible. I called for the cleaning of the house at the end of the season, but I also said you can't fire one and keep the other. If you're going to keep one, you keep both. If you're going to fire one, you fire both. Like that was my whole mindset about the end of the season for the Giants and whether or not they should clean house. I said they probably should get some fresh eyes in here with the top 3 pick and figure it out. Ultimately, they decided to keep everybody. And I said, okay, that's fine. As at least they're not firing one and keeping the other. They're keeping everybody in place. Okay. Now that the Giants have actually drafted Jackson Dart, and a kid in Jackson Dart who I really do believe in, have a strong conviction personally in Jackson Dart, I really, really don't want Joe Shane and Brian Dable to get fired. I really want them to win enough games to keep their jobs for next year because I really want Jackson Dart to succeed. I want him to have a fair shot at it. I want him to have the same GM, the same coach, and the same environment around him and be nurtured and grow and continue to grow with this team that believes in him. I fear that the Giants, maybe the schedule is too tough. They lose games, and next season they're picking top 3 again. They blow it up. Dart gets traded, and they pick a new quarterback. And that's not the worst thing in the world if the new quarterback is really good. But just personally, I've got like a personal thing. I really want to see Jackson Dart be the Giants franchise quarterback. Like I'm rooting for him. So ultimately, I hope the Giants win enough games. Everybody saves their job, and I really want Jackson Dart to be the future. Just really rooting for the kid. But too early to tell who are some of the top free agent receivers. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a quick look, shall we? All right, so the top free agent wide receivers next offseason include, you know what, I always do this. Let me just share the screen. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Courtland Sutton, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers, Diami Brown, Tutu Atwell, Adam Thielen, Marquise Brown. Rashid Shaheed is a guy I would actually look at. He takes the top off of a defense. He's pretty young. Yeah, out of these guys, there's not really a ton of young guys. Wandale is going to be a free agent. I could see the Giants just re-signing him and calling it a day. But you know what? I don't see Mike Evans ever leaving Tampa Bay. I don't see Terry McLaurin ever leaving Washington. Christian Kirk doesn't move me. Deebo, washed. Courtland Sutton, I guess, could be interesting. Getting up there in age, though, 30. Going to be 31 next year. Jacoby Myers is going to be 30. It's a pretty thin market. I'm not crazy about it, to be completely honest with you. Don't love it. Do not love it. Alec Pierce, though. If Alec Pierce hits the free agency market, you guys know how I feel about Alec Pierce. I love Alec Pierce. I'd love to see him in Giants blue. George Pickens could be a free agent. Doubt it, though. I think the Cowboys are going to re-sign him. Alec Pierce, out of all these guys that we're looking at here, keep an eye on Alec Pierce. He fits what the Giants like, and he's a really underrated player. Let's see. You just picked up your oxtail. That's awesome. You didn't miss much. We're just shooting the S. We're just chatting. Who was your quarterback selection for the Giants this year? Was it Dart? Do you think he has potential to be the one? I really do believe he has the potential to be the one. I have like very, very strong conviction in Jackson Dart. I'm going to show you guys this. Ready for this one? You guys are going to love this. This is an article that I wrote on EmpireSportsMedia.com back on January 29th, 2025. So, Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart scouting profile, the quarterback prospect who could be the steal of the 2025 NFL draft. So you want to know if I had a conviction in Dart, if I believe in him or not, go ahead and read this article because I think I did a really good job in my analysis of Dart, and I think you guys will enjoy it and realize that I'm very high on this kid. I broke it down and talked about the weaker 2025 quarterback class, how Dart has the potential to make himself stand out, how he lit up the SEC, deep passing accuracy, clean mechanics, I think, in his upper body. He's got mobility, athleticism, a few key weaknesses I did discuss as well. So you'll get a full profile of Jackson Dart if you read through this article, and you'll see, I think it was my ending paragraph. He is a developmental prospect who should not be asked to start as a rookie, but with time, Dart could absolutely develop into a starter one day. How high his ceiling reaches will largely depend on a team's ability to develop his ability to read defenses and process route progressions. Dart is worth taking a flyer on, and if he has those abilities unlocked, he could wind up being the steal of the 2025 NFL draft. So that was written in January, mind you, and we are here in April. The Giants drafted him, and we are here in May. Yes, to answer your question, I think he could be the one. And he was the guy that I circled very early on in the process as being a perfect fit for the New York Giants. Me too. Scatterboo! Yeah, that was a major mistake. And they doubled down on that mistake years later when they held on to Gettleman but fired Shermer. Like, if you're going to fire one, you've got to fire both. Alex, good question here. The interview with the SPS guy, did I ever ask him off camera where Sanders was on his list? I did not, because his database is public. So I'll go ahead and pull it up and we can talk about that and compare. But he wasn't as high up as Dart. I can tell you that much. Let me go ahead and pull up the database. The database is really fascinating to me because this guy, Brainy Ballers, his hit rate is like absolutely tremendous. I just need the database to load. I've had a little bit of trouble loading into that website, but once it loads, I'll pull it up. Way too early mock draft. I'll just guess playmaker in the first round next year. A lot of teams, whenever they have a rookie quarterback taking over the next year, they love to throw a playmaker in the mix there. Yo, TD Midas, if it was Tyler Shuck, if the Giants traded at 25 and drafted Tyler Shuck, I would have had the most epic crash out of all time on this channel. You guys know I was live streaming during the draft. I was fully prepared. I was going to smash my television if it was Tyler Shuck. Like, I'm not even playing with you. It would have been so ugly. We probably would have went viral, and that would have been the silver lining, but my hands would have been bloodied. I was going to beat the living crap out of my television. When the Giants traded up to 25, I was like, please be Dart, please be Dart, please be Dart. Because if it was Shuck, dude. But hey, the Saints can deal with that mess. Man, Trenton, stop it. David, thank you for the recognition. Yeah, Dart did look good at the Senior Bowl. But I started tuning into Jackson Dart, not because of the Senior Bowl, but shout out to my close friend, not like friend in the Giants space, but like an actual personal friend of mine who knows what I do. He saw Jackson Dart versus Duke and was like, yo, you got to watch this kid. He's really, really good. And I was like, all right, I'll check him out. And then from there, I was enamored by Jackson Dart. He actually told me to watch him because he's on my flag football team, my friend John. Shout out to John Thompson. And he was like, yo, this kid Jackson Dart, you and him have similar playing styles, you know, in terms of your flag football quarterback abilities. You should watch him. Maybe you can learn a thing or two, you know, study him and grow. So we're always trying to get better in flag football, the same way all football players are. And so I watched him, and then I was like, wait, hold on a second. I'm not just watching this guy for me. I'm watching this guy for the Giants. He's a good quarterback. So that's how it started. I think it was around the 45, but I'm sorry, I can't get the database to load right now. I might have to shoot a message to my guy and see, because for some reason it's not working for me. But yeah, SPS. I'm trying to get it to work. Yes, in flag football, I do play QB1. Not 2, not 3, QB1. I have a game on Monday. Our games have been delayed for 2 weeks due to rain, but that's okay because I was on vacation anyway, so it actually worked out for me. So we've got final game of the regular season on Monday, and then we have the playoffs the week after, and I will, of course, keep you updated and send you any videos that we have as well. So I actually play 5v5, TD Midas, play 5v5 flag football. I also do play 7v7. My 7v7 team it's usually ragtag. It's not the same people, but my 5v5 team is a consistent team season in, season out. So you don't even need that many players. Just find like 5 players and, you know. Ole Miss wish we could have gotten their DT Nolan. Walter Nolan is sick, dude. Really good player. That would have been cool, but he was always going in the first round. Yeah, so Shador's 46.5 SPS score. And I will just throw a reminder out there, as we explained in that interview with Brainy Ballers. The SPS score is largely determined by where you land, right? Like there's your score prior to getting drafted, but the score finalizes once you're drafted. So it is possible that Sanders had a higher SPS score and then got drafted to the absolute mess that is the Cleveland Browns, and it tanked his score. That's possible. Nice. 11 on 11 in flag. That's a lot. No, it does not. You know what, though? I got to say this. My friend Cameron, shout out to you if you are still watching, Cam. Him and I got into a spat several weeks ago, maybe months ago, because he was like, oh, I love hot honey pizza. And I was like, excuse me? Honey on your pizza? I got a little New York snobbish on him. I was like, what are you doing? What are they doing over there in England? And then I went to England last week and I had hot honey pizza. And I got to say, it was fire. No cap. It was really, really good. So I'm a truther. I'm a hot honey pizza truther now. I'll go ahead and defend that one. I'll admit I was wrong, as any strong man should be able to. Yeah, hot honey pizza is pretty fire. Do you think that the Commanders are actually as good as people say? I feel like their team is a bunch of vets and Daniels, who the real will only stand out besides Terry McLaurin. Yeah, listen, on the defensive side of the ball, I don't really think that I don't think that they're that strong on the defensive side of the ball. I think on offense, Terry McLaurin's a really good player. They have a decent running back committee, and they have Jaden Daniels, who figures to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for the next few years if he continues on his trajectory. But generally speaking, I think that they do have a lot of holes, and I think that they were elevated by really good coaching and a spark plug quarterback last year. But I could absolutely see the Commanders taking a step back and having that sophomore slump with Jaden Daniels, and I'm banking on it. I want to sneak a win from them in week 1. I don't think they are that great. Like, I think they're a good football team, but they absolutely overachieved going to the conference championship last year. Yeah, the honey on pizza is fine. Pineapple on pizza is a no from me. Yeah, I do think that the trade up from Dable and Shane is great. It shows that they have conviction in Dart, and so do I. So, Gilbert, you don't have to be worried. I'm not comparing myself to Dart. I'm just saying somebody did compare me to Dart. If I have aura, week 3 will be a test if I have aura. That's Sunday Night Football versus the Chiefs. How does that determine my personal aura? I'm curious to know. I think I've got aura. Scat with 200 over the Commanders. They have terrible tackling. I hope you're right. Could you imagine if our rookie running back puts up 200 yards in week 1? We're going to be doing backflips on Fireside Giants. Yes, I do think that the Commanders are going to continue to go for it on 4th down consistently, because I do think that, generally speaking, a lot of these top teams in the NFL are very aggressive and analytic driven, and they're no different from that. So they're going to definitely continue to be an aggressive team on 4th downs. This is a good question. I'll go ahead and look that up. Giants odds to make playoffs. They have the 28th ranked odds in the league to win the Super Bowl at plus 18,000. They have plus 2,000 odds to win the NFC East. What are their odds for the playoffs? Like, that's what I Googled. Why doesn't it tell me that? Okay, that was helpful, Fox Sports. Give me the other stuff. Playoff odds, plus 800. Plus 800. I'm definitely not throwing $100 down on it, Adler, but I also don't think it's the worst bet ever. They're already 7-point underdogs against the Washington Commanders in week 1, plus 260 to win outright. Interesting. Very interesting. I think I'll throw $10 down. Why not? That's like $10 is $10. You know, I might do that one. Christopher, I'm actually, I think, much higher on the linebacker group than a lot of Giants fans because I really like Micah McFadden. I think Micah McFadden is a very good linebacker. I think Giants fans are too harsh on him because they always complain about his missed tackle rate. There's so much more that goes into that. If you were in yesterday's live stream, we had a discussion about the drops that the Giants receivers are credited with. How many of them were pure drops based on the receiver dropping the ball, and how many of them were terribly inaccurate passes that just grazed their fingertips, right? Same thing with this missed tackle stat that everybody throws out there for Micah McFadden. How many of those are missed tackles that actually lead to gains, and how many of them are him shooting the gap in the backfield, running into a running back who then stays on his feet but still gets tackled for loss, right? That's what Micah McFadden does. He shoots in there. He disrupts things behind the line of scrimmage. And that's why there's a lot of tackles that happen behind the line of scrimmage that are caused by Micah McFadden, even though he technically misses the tackle. Yes, he does, but he's still a really good run defender and gap shooter. So I think the Giants should extend Micah McFadden. As TD Midas says, a Giant lifer. I believe that. I agree with you. I think the Giants would be very wise. He's in the final year of his contract. Go ahead, re-sign him now before he puts up another 120 tackles this year and has his price tag go up a whole lot more. So I think it would be really wise for the Giants to extend McFadden. I think he's a good player, and so is Okereke. Yeah, needs to hold on to the guy for another half a second for sure. Will Scattaboo have a running, catching, and throwing TD this year? Yeah. Yeah, he will. Now, the throwing one is going to be tough, but he'll have a running, he'll have a catching. Maybe he'll have a throwing. Obviously, he did it in college, and I could see him having a trick play dialed in there from Brian Dable. So, possibly. Wow, we got a huge super chat from Corp CA. So, you know what we're going to do is give a huge scattaboo. Thank you so much, Corp CA, for the $50 super chat. Can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. Saying, I've been listening to many talk about Dart playing this season. Personally, I don't want him to play at all because that means that our season is a bust. I'm rooting for Russ to have the best comeback of his career. I'll be ready for Dart in September 2026. Corp, I'm 100% in agreement with you. That is exactly how I feel. I don't want to see Jackson Dart this season because if we don't see Jackson Dart this season, you know what it means? Russell Wilson is playing too good to take him off the field, and the Giants are going to the playoffs. If they're not going to the playoffs, we're going to see Jackson Dart. But if they are going to the playoffs, we won't see Dart until 2026, and that is the ideal outcome for me because I'm sick and tired of picking top 10, and I want to see the Giants play in a damn playoff game this season. So I 100% agree with you, Corp CA. A lot of people are talking about Dart playing this season, and a lot of that is a knee-jerk reaction to the New York Giants schedule release. The schedule is really tough. If you're anticipating a lot of losses for the Giants, and if they stack up quickly, the losses, then yeah, Dart's probably going to get in the lineup sooner rather than later. However, if they're the underdog that kind of wins a lot of these games that they're not favored in this season, if Russell Wilson's putting together wins, which I think he'll win enough to keep the job for at least the majority of the season. I mean, and if they go to the playoffs, we won't see Dart until next year. And I think it's important to remind people, even if Russell Wilson takes the Giants to the playoffs, that doesn't guarantee him getting extended and being the starter next year. Of course, we do all know he's on a one-year deal, and he's only getting paid $10 million, so it's not a lot. But on top of that, there's precedence from some of the members of this coaching staff to move on from a quarterback that just went to the playoffs. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, I am, of course, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2017, they drafted Patrick Mahomes, 10th overall. Alex Smith was still the starting quarterback in the 2017 season. They went to the playoffs. I believe they even won a wild card playoff game and then got bounced out in the divisional, if I'm not mistaken. So Alex Smith led that team to the playoffs. They were a really good football team, and they still traded him away in that offseason after going to the playoffs with him and made Patrick Mahomes their starter. So there is absolutely a world where the New York Giants go to the playoffs this year with Russell Wilson, still let him walk in free agency, and make Jackson Dart the starter in September 2026. And that is the ideal outcome for me. Hopefully, Dart gains so much valuable experience watching Russell Wilson play, sitting behind him and growing for the year, watching this team go to the playoffs, so gains all that valuable experience. They move on from Russ next year after a really good season from him, and Jackson Dart takes off and has that Patrick Mahomes entrance into the NFL. Please, wouldn't that be fantastic? Right? What can't this kid do? But again, Corp CA, thank you so much for that really big super chat. Anytime somebody drops a big super chat, expect some big scattabooms. That's going to be my new thing. Because you guys really love it when I scattaboo. So anytime it's a big super, I expect a big scataboom. Russ is like the ideal mentor for a rookie quarterback, in my opinion. He's great on the field. He's great off the field. He's great in the locker room. He knows how to handle the media without being stale. Perfect. I could also see Russ wanting to stay in NYC and signing to compete with Dart, but ultimately, I think it's going to be tough because I think the Giants, after a year of Russ, are going to be really eager to put Dart on the field. But who knows? Maybe Russ is so good this year that they Jordan Love Jackson Dart. Totally possible. But I do think there's a sweet spot there. I think that if you let the quarterback sit too long, it can sometimes impede development. Not always. Obviously, Love is a good player, and Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years and then started and became a star. But I think a good year is enough, and then you put the rookie in. Because at some point, you want to get them experience. I think that's really, really crucial. So we have reached the 1 hour mark. Drop your final chats, supers, comments, thoughts, everything, opinions, hot takes, whatever it is down below in the chat. Before I do wrap this up, I'll take any last minute buzzer beaters that you guys might have. Playboy Phil, I don't know really much of anything about Zachariah Branch, unfortunately. I don't start looking into the next draft class until we get way closer to the draft. Like not until December usually is when I start looking. If the Giants make the playoffs, I don't even start looking until like February. So it's going to be a while before I get to some of those draftable players for next year, but I'll definitely keep that name in mind. Hot take, Jackson Dart starts week 14 or 15, whatever it is after the bye. So the bye week is week 14. So you'd be saying week 15. I do think it's possible. But again, it's going to depend on whether or not the Giants are in the playoff hunt. I think that whenever the Giants get eliminated, is when Jackson Dart's going to take over. If they get eliminated by week 12, if they get eliminated by week 15, whenever they get eliminated, they have nothing left to play for. There's not really much of a reason to keep Jackson Dart, not really much of a reason to keep Russell Wilson in the lineup. That's when they'll turn it loose to Jackson Dart. Rashad, thank you so much. Hope they are. The grind is real. But again, I'm just doing what I love, man. Just sitting here talking Giants, keeping it humble because I am humble. Alex saying, great job. Thanks for answering my questions. See you next chat. Alex, thank you so much for joining in and leaving me your great questions. And I look forward to seeing you in the next live stream. Dylan saying, shout out to Russ for playing with us. If I had CR and $100+ million in the bank, catch me retired by the pool. 100% agreed with you. What else is there to do? Lay by the pool with your beautiful wife. But hey, shout out to Russ. He wants to keep playing football, and we will gratefully accept him as a monumental upgrade over Daniel Penny's. Imagine if we rest starters in week 18. And hey, then the Patrick Mahomes prophecy must be coming true. The Giants are so good with Russell Wilson that they make the playoffs, and they rest starters in week 18. And we get that 1 week of Jackson Dart. It'd be the same thing as Patrick Mahomes. Alex Smith was good, and they rested starters the final week of the season. Mahomes got 1 game, threw for 200 yards, looked decent. And then the following season, took off as a starter and became the MVP immediately. Hopefully that's what we see from Jackson Dart. Wouldn't that be cool? Yes, and they're going to do this for each other. Alexander's going to make things easier for Dex. Dex is going to make things easier for Alexander. Just in general, the interior defensive line should be much improved this season. 8-9, I hope you're right. I think that's a pretty good record for a team that just went 3-14. Will Bo start a game this year? I do think Bo will start at least 1 game because on the offensive line, injuries are abundant and they're inevitable. So at one point or another, we should see an injury, and he'll be the first one to get the call into the lineup, in my opinion, because I think he's probably somebody that the Giants will trust even more than Evan Neal. 70 sacks this year for Big Blue. Wouldn't that be fantastic? What's the record for most sacks in a season? The most sacks in a season, Chicago Bears 72. So if the Giants go for 70 sacks this year, they have a historically good defense. They better make the damn playoffs. But all right, guys, I think I am going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream here, just a little bit over an hour. Once again, big shout out to Corp CA for the super hefty $50 super chat and the $10 super chat. That's 60 total from Corp. Thank you so much for that. And also Sebastian with the $2 super as well. And thank you to everybody who tuned in, whether you paid, whether you didn't pay. I obviously interacted with the entire live chat, whether it was supers or not. I just appreciate everybody's viewership. Even if you were passively viewing, didn't leave a single comment, that's totally fine as well. Thank you just for tuning in. Love sitting here talking New York Giants with my G-Man family, with my Fireside Giants crew, and just very appreciative to have all of you tuning in with me, especially in the slow portion of the offseason. You all are still just bleeding blue and looking forward to Fireside Giants content. And I'm here to reassure you the content's going nowhere. We're going to keep it up and keep it pumping. So very excited. Happy that I was able to jump on here for this good hour and talk New York Giants football. And once again, thank you to everybody who did tune in. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section if you're watching the replay. If you listen to Apple or Spotify to any of our episodes, make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.